Hello everyone, I'm Interactor Fadil, the Public Relations Director of the Interact District Council, the Rotary International District 3220. Welcome to Season 2 of InterCast. This season we'll be taking new topics to new heights, and we'll be discussing those topics in deep and depth detail with the right and rightful individuals. So today we'll be talking of a topic that's centered around Interact and how we pioneer change. So let's get to the topic. Youth empowerment, but with a twist. How does Interact help youth empowerment? And who better to talk about this topic than our very own District Interact representative, Interactor Past President Julian Fernandopulle.
Hello Julian, thank you for joining us amidst your busy schedule. So let's get right to business. But before that, I just want our viewers to know who, apart from the abbreviations aside, who Julian Fernandopulle is.
Hi Fadil, first of all, thank you so much for having me today for the first episode of InterCast. So to give you a small introduction about myself, like you mentioned, my name is Julian Fernandopulle and I'm currently serving as the District Interact representative for the District Council of the Rotary International District 3220. I am a student. I just graduated from St. Joseph's College, Colombo 10, and I've been a part of the Interact movement since the year 2017. I joined when I was in grade 9, and ever since then I've always been an active member of my club. I've held multiple board positions at the school Interact Club. I've also been a senior prefect of my school. Apart from that, I was also a cricketer until the age group of under 17. And yeah, that's a brief introduction to myself.
Okay, so now that we've all understood who our guest is, let's get to the topic we're discussing today. So we are discussing how Interact is a pioneer in youth empowerment. So let's start with your take on it. How Interact helped you pioneer yourself?
Yeah, so speaking about that, Interact, when I actually joined the club of my school, I actually joined by accident. One day I was actually, during interval, I was looking for one of my friends to play some cricket with, and he happened to be at an Interact meeting. And on that day, when I was looking for him, I found him to be at an Interact meeting. And I also eventually ended up joining the club on that same day. And I remember the very next meeting, I was assigned with a project at school. And these little things eventually led to me realizing how great this movement is for people as young as us. We, at our school, personally, we had members from grade 6 and upwards. And it was always a good opportunity for youngsters like us to express ourselves. We've been given so many opportunities, for example, when it comes to public speaking, which is a major fear that many of us have. I don't think I would be talking to you here today if it wasn't for Interact, to be completely honest. It's a really good platform for people as young as us to really express ourselves, to improve our skills, and even build good networks. And Interact, in my personal opinion, for the youth is something that, in my opinion, if I could market it to anyone, I would definitely encourage anyone between the right ages of 12 and 18, which is the age of Interact, to join this movement, because I really don't see such a platform anywhere else. It's a really good area where we can build on our character. And yeah, that's what
I mean, I have to actually add to that as per se, because I wouldn't be in front of a camera today if not for Interact.
Yes.
Definitely was an introvert until Interact happened, and had to make myself an ambivert at least.
Likewise, I was also a really shy kid when it came to life at school. I wouldn't really go in front of a lot of people and speak. So these are little things that Interact has given me. And one major thing, like I mentioned earlier, the networking. You get to know so many people. Like we have so many clubs in our district, in the district 3220. And these are the school days are the best days for us to create memories, because once we're out of school, we eventually go into the real world, right? So yeah, it's a really nice platform to create memories and build on your character.
I mean, yeah, like definitely going out of school with a network that Interact provides with over 8,000 members right now at the time of filming, of course, and growing substantially.
Yes.
So I think it builds on our character and the network. And once you go into the real world, you still have the people that you met at Interact now in different places.
Yes.
So again, I think it goes off to the good old saying, network makes your network.
Yes.
So on that point, right? So we are building on Interact, and how, as an interactor, would you say you could pioneer change, like be the difference that you want to be?
Yes, so as we all know, the motto of Rotary as a whole is service above self. And that is one thing I believe not only in Interact, a lot of us can stand by in our day-to-day lives. We have the opportunity as interactors to serve our community. And that is exactly how we can pioneer change, you know. We have this platform, and not everyone has been given this opportunity. Not everyone has the luxury of being a part of this movement. And by being in Interact, we can serve our community, serve our friends, everyone around us. We can make a change for the better. And being such young individuals, I think this is the exact time that we should work towards pioneering change, and Interact does give us this opportunity.
So I think we have to also mention, for anyone who's not in Interact, it's not really that you have to be or need to be an interactor to make that change that we always talk about, right? We are right. We are youthful and we want to see change out there, especially right now. If you go out into the atmosphere of Sri Lanka and the district that we pioneer in. So I think it's not just as an interactor that we should look at it, but as members of the youth, members of the community of young individuals, that we can make a change, right? It affects who you are. So you don't have to be a certain role, certain legislation to make the change. If you want to, you can make it happen, right?
Yes.
So it's really up to you as an individual to make the change. So let's add on to that point, right? What would you say personally, as an interactor or as an individual, that you use to be better for yourself? Tips, tricks, anything that you share with us?
Yes, so speaking about a few tips and tricks that you could use after like being in this movement, a few things that I have learned is that not every opportunity you get will necessarily be in your comfort zone. Like I mentioned earlier, the aspect of public speaking is a major fear for a lot of people. And one thing that Interact helps you to do, and one thing that I gained from it, and I would like to just advise the interactors in our movement to do is, so like I mentioned, there are these things that we don't feel too comfortable with. Yeah. So one main thing that an interactor can do is to seek discomfort. It's not always going to be a bed of roses. It's not always going to be easy. Some areas are a bit, I'd say, not your
comfort zone.
Yeah, it's not in your comfort zone, right? So one thing Interact teachers taught me was that we have to be able to step out of our comfort zone. There are certain areas that a lot of us just don't want to have anything to do with. But what Interact does is it teaches you that it's okay to actually explore, you know, because sometimes you might find a hidden talent of your own, and it helps you. It really does help you when you just step out of your comfort zone and you look towards, you know, working. Like that's one major aspect of building your character, you know.
I think adding to just stepping out your comfort zone. What also Interact has, I think, helped me is basically once you are stepped into a spotlight situation,
Yes.
you get into these points of pressure. So points where you're extremely discomforted, like you don't want to be there.
Yes, it really does help you like deal with pressure situations.
You have to make decisions under discomfort. So I think that is a professional etiquette that you learn in the community, and building onto professional etiquette is so not. I wouldn't advise just interactors, because for interactors it is duty to follow a set guide of rules when they're doing projects, when they're doing proposals, when they're doing reports. But anyone outside the community can also look into this. Once maybe you're doing a project, it can be the smallest project that they do. Yet when you start making it an epilogue, making it a set process, then it builds a sense of professionalism in your work life. So once you step out of school, you're already like polished at certain aspects. Now, I think certain people who work at IT would say, at the end of the day, sometimes we just need to use Word and Excel, mata. So
Yes.
when you're in Interact, you learn all of those things, and it's also the fun of it, right? Some people just learn new things. Like I've worked with certain individuals who, even currently in the district, Ramel, when he joined Interact, I think he didn't know how to design. But then by the final year of his Interact here at college, he was the club editor. So how far he got within a year and a half proves that Interact not just takes you out of your comfort zone, but also gives you the opportunity to make that discomfort a proper and ideological part of your life and part of your portfolio.
And also adding on to the professional side of things, like this platform that we have, it really helps us step into the real world ahead of time, because one thing like you mentioned, when it comes to making reports and things, I really don't see any other movement that does it better than Interact. The skill set that a set of interactors have is miles ahead of just the average student, I'd say, because now we are all going to eventually step into the real world, into the corporate world. Once we are done with school, it's basically we are our own boss. So we have to figure things out. And Interact really helps you to it's basically like a training program. Like one of the main goals of Interact itself is to build constructive leadership. And Interact really helps us build on these values and gets us into this professional side of like our lives, It helps us, how can I word it? It really, like I mentioned, it's basically a training ahead of time. So once we actually step into the real world, it's as if we are familiar with the environment in a sort of way that not everyone is, Yeah.
So I think that also something, we shouldn't really stick to Interact in this movement, but again, as interactors, we have to also acknowledge that as part of the districts, the projects we do, like ILT, IPTS, all these InterEve, all these projects have opened a new eye for us, right? So I think talking about projects, we have projects that are coming up. So ILT is coming up, and I think this year there's a good and nice chance that it steps out of the usual ILT that we are used to, because we both working closely with the ILT board, and we want to make some proper changes and get people interested in being a leader.
Yes, and like one thing this year, something that we are really lucky to have is the immense support from Rotary, like our district governor, Pugudu Disoisa, our district interact committee chairperson, Rotarian Shana Sablin, and our youth services chairperson, past president G.S. Sylvester. One thing that we really have is their support and backing, and like the experience that they bring to the table is something like I personally haven't seen it much. The amount of support we get from Rotary is immense, and the experience they have and bring to the table is something that we are so lucky to have with us, and that's another part of how we can build on to our development as interactors.
Yeah, as even though we do it as a voluntary service, at the end of the day, when you have someone who is there to push us just that one
just
thing,
makes us that bit better than we can actually be.
So as we progress towards the end of today's episode, keeping in line with our theme of today's segment, what's one line or message that has kept you going throughout the years in Interact and throughout the years as Joe at college,
Yes.
to strive for better you?
So one line that has always resonated with me from my days in Interact at school, and even after being in my school's prefect's body, and even after working in the district council for the last 2 years, one line that has always resonated with me is, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. This platform of Interact, it really gives us an opportunity to build our networks, like I mentioned earlier. The networks we build eventually lead to how we conduct ourselves in this movement, and by building and strengthening our networks, the quality of the things we do in the 5 avenues of service that we have, that really helps us to improve the quality of the things we do. And by working together and sticking together, we can always do so much more than one can do by him or herself. So that's one line that has really resonated with me. And that's one thing I would like to just emphasize on towards our audience, towards all our interactors. One thing I'd like to say is always stick together, because teamwork makes the dream work.
For everyone tuned in, thank you for joining us on the first episode of InterCast Season 2. I'm Interactor Fadil, signing off. Thank you, Vivala Interact.